So a few weeks back, I came close to making this video, and just looking at the thumbnail, you bet I'm glad I skipped out on that one. The Monaco Grand Prix weekend could easily have been a turning point in the 2025 season, on a race weekend where championship leader Oscar Piastri set himself the mission of baptising as many of the Armco barriers as he could. Lando Norris looked untouchable. Considering the few weeks prior, the tight streets of the Principality provided the optimal location to set up the largest bottle factory the paddock had ever seen, but instead the Briton was undeterred, battling past his demons to drive the lap of his life and put his McLaren on pole on Saturday afternoon. Most drivers would take this opportunity to celebrate, though they just found out they'd been forgotten about by the Epstein files, and considering Lord Nos's history, many arguably expected this. But instead, the Briton walked into the media pen very much focused on his job for Sunday: control the race, manage the pressure, and as long as he did that and kept it out of the barriers, the win was well and truly on the cards. Hang on, what am I saying? This was Monaco. It was practically guaranteed. And that's exactly what happened. Even when he arguably didn't have the fastest car at the end of the Grand Prix, he dealt with the added pressure of having Monaco crash expert Charles Leclerc staring up his prostate in the final laps, and took the victory, narrowing the championship gap to teammate Piastri to just 3 points heading into Barcelona. The fact that this was only Norris' second win of the year very much outlines how much of a monumental terrorist-level show the start of the season has been. I covered that in detail here if you're interested, though just be mindful if you do have any Lando fans in near proximity, you may want to lock your windows and remove any sharp objects or bleach from your surroundings. Oh wait, I forgot about the toaster. This could have been the shift in momentum the 4-team needed though, in a sport that's just as much a mental game as it is a physical one. Piastri had, as the kids say it, locked in, while Norris had shown all the resolve of a wet paper straw in a hurricane. Spain then rolls around and this momentum seems to continue as Lando tops the opening practice session on Friday. We then begin to slip back into the norm however. Piastri held the advantage in FP2, then was consistently ahead throughout Saturday as Norris attempted to compensate by overdriving the car and thus finding his rear end looser than a fake taxi star's. You get the picture. Things went from bad to worse on race day when he pulled off the signature Lando special at the start, which for the uninitiated is like the perfect launch if you reverse every part of what makes a launch good. It's like when you load up the F1 game, finish qualifying but realise you set the AI difficulty way too easy, so deliberately hash up your getaway and spend the next 20 or so laps cruising around the outside of everyone like you're Ayrton f***ing Senna. Only for Lando it took him 13 laps to get past the Red Bull of Verstappen, by which point Piastri sat a comfortable 5 seconds up the road and could confidently control the Grand Prix from there on out. Lando, meanwhile, didn't have anything left in reserve to mount a proper challenge, evident to see when Antonelli's engine sacrificed itself for the sake of F1 content creators around the globe. Oscar remained unfazed as he continued to manage the restart no problem. That can happen in Formula 1 sometimes though. Occasionally the guy on the other side of the garage is just quicker than you at the end of the day. Not that Twitter seemed to have understood that. Oscar is cheating, of course, or if not, he's been on naughty daddy Jeffrey's Island. Anyway, they could at least wipe away the tears given the knowledge that Lando had still recovered nicely to P2, thus only expanding the points deficit to his teammate to 10 heading into the next round at Canada. With Max Verstappen also voluntarily exiting the title frame stage left, the 4 crew could at least breathe a sigh of relief that there'd only be minimal challenge from behind. This was now a 2-horse race, but come the next Grand Prix, we were left feeling it might just be more humane to put one of them down. Forget the Lando bottle, it's time for the Lando Pritt stick. If Oscar has any weaknesses in 2025, it appears to be the street circuit. Monaco, of course, not really going to plan, and early signs in Montreal seemingly pointing the same way. Combine this with the circuit characteristics suiting the MCL39, about as well as Hitler might suit a bar mitzvah, and the Australian would spend practice struggling to acclimatise to his surroundings, 14th and 6th in the Friday sessions, whilst Norris appeared to have a much better grasp of the conditions. That would come to a head in Saturday morning's FP3, when Lando topped the session, while Oscar jumped the gun by bitch-slapping the wall of champions potentially half a year early. Yeah, I know how my take's age, I'm not taking any chances on that one. From a mental side of things, Norris held the entire deck. The balls were in his court. He was in the driver's seat. Okay, let's just cut to the bit where he f***s it up. Comfortably faster than Piastri throughout Q1 and Q2, it was now time to set a banker lap in his first run of Q3. And granted, Norris did find the quickest line through the final chicane. Only downside is that one's also illegal. With this being so late in the lap, there was no time to charge up the battery for another go, meaning the pressure was on the Briton with just one run in arguably the most high-stakes moment of the weekend. Unfortunately, Norris took the word steak a little bit too literally, driving his final run like one of the steak kick Alfa Romeo BMW Saubers. See, it's not just V-Car we can do that with. Now, did McLaren have the pace for pole this weekend? Well, probably not, but considering their advantage at the front, that didn't really matter. They can let George and Max play fight at the front. All that mattered for Norris was beating Piastri, and instead Oscar was on the second row in third, whilst Nozza had 4 cars between him and his championship rival. At least Norris held position on the opening lap this time round, but his bottle once again left him with cars to pass in the early stages, allowing Piastri to build a gap up the road, and this is all starting to sound rather familiar, isn't it? Nozza's only hope was that his alternate strategy would be faster than Piastri's over the long run. Both McLarens would opt for the 3-stop, although Norris would enter the final stint with fresher tyres than his teammate, as Piastri's Pirellis began to beg for a bullet in the brain in the closing stages. This was Lando's chance to take advantage. The laps ticked down, and it became very clear which of the McLarens was faster, and with Antonelli's 3rd place just slightly up the road, in an alternate universe, Nozza could have snagged the 5-point swing in the standings, halving his current deficit to Piastri. Earlier in the season, he could have tried begging to swap positions over the team radio, but that would have been received by sweet all this time. Norris had to do his talking on the track then, making an unsuspecting move down the inside of turn 10 that few saw coming. The 81 car of Piastri seemed equally off guard, though he at least got good use of the DRS down the back straight to attempt to gain that position back. The pair remained side by side going into the final chicane, Piastri braking significantly later than his teammate to regain that position. Now one could look at that and chastise Lando for having all the balls of a transvestite in this battle, but perhaps there was reasoning to his madness on this one. Opening up the corner allowed the Briton a better exit, and with another dose of DRS down the pit straight, a move could be made into turn 1. Piastri saw this coming, covering the inside, and then, the Woking nuclear bomb went off. His die-hard fans may still be clinically blind to this one, but this was 100% on Lando Norris, evident by his immediate apology over the team radio after the incident. This was stupid, and the Briton may well suffer indefinitely as a result. Whether he'd tried around the outside or just waited an extra lap, had Norris been patient, he most likely would have got that position and cut down Oscar's championship lead. Instead, he takes home 0 points, the new gap in the standings sits at almost a race win. All I'm saying is thank God everyone else is shit this year. So why does this keep happening then? Things look to have been turning around, and now we're back to square one. Well, I'm an F1 YouTuber, sitting in his bedroom, slacking off F1 drivers without actually owning a driving license himself. So what do I know? Thankfully, I do know a guy who's a little bit more clued up on that sort of thing.
Right, so we're talking about Lando Norris, and you've got the 4 areas of driver preparation. So you've got physical preparation. I don't feel like it's responsible for that much lap time. Technical preparation. This is responsible for your lap time. This is literally your technique. Then you've got the tactical, fuel saving, tire saving, strategy, safety car restarts, attack, defense, racecraft. And then you've got the mental side as well. It's your concentration, your attention span, your focus. Lando's biggest weaknesses are on the tactical side and on the mental side. And then you've got where Lando's been better is in the technical side. So that story's changed a little bit this year because we've got the McLaren's got a lot strong front end and Lando's very quick with his hands. He's struggling on the technical side for this reason. But I say all that to say that on the tactical side is where Lando, I feel like, has his biggest weakness. That's his starts. Always seems to get bad starts last year. Reading the rules and the flags in Baku, in the rain in Brazil, with the start lights flashing. I think he went through a yellow flag flat in Qatar. And just general racecraft, attack and defense. Exactly what we saw here against Oscar Piastri down the pit straight in Montreal today. I think he needs to spend the most time on the tactical side. I think he's got a lot of work to do on the mental side as well, just to recenter on the technical and tactical, because that's where the lap time is. If I had to order this, guys, in terms of order of importance, you need lap time. That's number 1. You can't do anything without that. I'd say 2 is the mental. You need to be able to deliver that often, consistent. 3 will be tactical, because that's how you're going to manage and run your race. And then 4 will be physical. It's very unlikely that you're going to lose a race due to your fitness. So where I would score Lando, he never seems to have a problem physically. You see a 4 and a 1 across the top. I'd say technically he's better, and then I'd give him the 3 and the 4 there. I think he needs to spend a lot more time on the tactical side and the mental side. Yeah, I thought I'd give you guys an insight into that, because that's where this one got away from Lando. It was a tactical error, a racecraft error. It's not the first one, it won't be the last one.
In case you didn't know, that was Martin from Lower Lap Time, and if you want his full, slightly more serious take on the Canadian Grand Prix, you can check out his channel down in the description below. But getting back to the point, what does this mean for Lando Norris? Well, there's that saying that it's not over until it's over, and quite frankly, we're not even halfway through the year yet, so we shouldn't even be bringing that up. In the time that we have left, a 22-point gap can easily be brought back, but that either requires Lando to cut out the mistakes, or Oscar to have a few off weekends, and what makes him so good in 2025 is the fact that even when he does have one of those, he's still the master of damage limitation. But I'll go back to what I said in my last Lando video, and albeit it was the take that made some fans call for my assassination, but excuses are pretty limited now. Nozza had all of 2024 to pretend he was in a title fight with Max Verstappen and make all these mistakes. Now it's clear he simply hasn't learned from them, and that's the difference maker right now between the 25-year-old and his far less experienced teammate Oscar Piastri. So if the 81 driver becomes only the 3rd Aussie to lift that driver's trophy, it'll be more than well deserved. Those are my thoughts anyway. Let me know yours down in the comments section. Drop the video a like and sub if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to check out Martin's stuff down below as well. Final thank you to the patrons and members who got this one early. I'll be working on some more exclusive content for them soon, so if that sounds interesting to you, then check out the links in the description. Plenty more coming from the main channel with IndyCar this weekend, but until then, have a good one.